The government cuts in the UK have had a disastrous effect on the country. Now, I'm a victim of those cuts because I lost my job a few months ago because of cutbacks, and even as early as 2010 I was made redundant because of the government cutbacks. Now, I've been following the news very closely over the different stories and issues surrounding the difficulties that a lot of people are in. And, you know, it's evident to me that the fact that food banks are opening all over the country now, something has gone disastrously wrong with the way that this government is managing the country's finances. They call it austerity to try and get the country back into operational standards, but it's clearly not working. Soldiers are being made redundant, which is a thing unheard of. Police officers have been shed. You know, local authorities are losing staff left and right. Some major names in the country have gone into administration: HMV, Jessop's, Woolies, etc., etc. Now, it occurs to me that out of everyone that is a victim of these cuts, people are losing their homes, their ability to pay rent, etc. So this is putting more of a pressure on the social piggy bank, as it were, for increased things in respect of job seekers allowance, housing benefit payments and council tax payments. Now, it doesn't take much working out to see that this is going to have a knock-on effect for the future. Now, people that are currently getting into debt, and by debt I mean credit card debt because they need that to survive, losing their homes, so their homes are being repossessed or being kicked out of rented accommodation because they can no longer afford the extortionate high rents. Now, taking all that into consideration, I don't think this austerity measure is working, because what no one has realised is that come, you know, 5, 10, possibly even 20 years down the line, these people that are affected now, it's going to take them 10 or 15 years to pay off big credit card debts, to pay off you know, losing their homes, repossessions, etc. And if they go bankrupt, it'll take them 6 years or more to recover from that. If they get a black mark against their name through credit card debt or whatever kind of debt, and if they default on these loans, that will produce a black mark on their credit file, which means that in turn all these people will not be able to get mortgages to buy homes in the future. So effectively what the government has done is that they're going to create a housing crisis that's 10 times worse than it currently is for the next 10, 5, possibly even 20 years, because all of those people will have to pay off their debts first, and from the moment that they finally paid their last debt, then they will have to count 6 years before they're eligible for any kind of finance, credit card, loan or whatever. So, you know, I'm thinking to myself now that this is really not a good thing, and that the austerity measures, if it were to have worked, may have been a good thing, but it clearly isn't a good thing. So my message to you, dear voter, is the next time there's an election in the country, just think about the future and think very carefully whether or not you want a government that is so, you know, uncaring for its disabled people, for the poorest people in the country, and even for its middle class people, because they equally are people that will never ever potentially be able to own their own home again. And there's going to be a generation of people that will never be able to own their own home, because, you know, there will be massive competition now for the homes that do exist, and it will literally become a have and have not society. So, you know, just think about your vote next time round. Now, I'm not saying that the previous government did a hugely fantastic job, but, you know, it has to be said, there were always jobs. I've always had a job while Labour has been in power. As soon as the Conservatives take over, or in this case the coalition, I have lost a job. And that's a repeated history over and over and over again. So, you know, it's a worrying situation, because I don't think I'll ever own my own home now unless I win the lotto, and the chances of that is going to be, what, 1 billion to 1? Because money usually goes to people who already have money, and, you know, I'm just not that wealthy. So please think about your vote at the next election. I know it's a couple of years off, but we've seen now the track history that this government is going to institute on us, and I don't think it's healthy. And in my opinion, working families that have got to food bank because they can't afford to buy food in the supermarket, there's something really, really wrong with that. And the wages are going down and down and down and down. We're going back to that. If it wasn't for the minimum wage, you know, I could actually foresee a time under this administration whereby the hourly rate could drop as little as £2.50 to £1.50 an hour if they had their way. And don't forget that also what this government is doing is making it easier for you, me and everyone else that works for someone else to be given the sack. So just think about those things. I'm not saying that everything they're doing is bad, far from it, but you know, when it comes to what people can put on the table for their families, that is a bad thing. And I'm not talking about luxury things like holidays or you know, going out for the night clubbing and this, that, and I'm just talking about the basic bare essentials of putting 3 meals on the table per day for the family, and some people can't afford to do that, and many parents are going without food, maybe eating 3 times a week so their children don't starve. And you know, in 2013 in modern Britain, that is so wrong, and the government should be ashamed of themselves for the way that they're persecuting the disabled and persecuting the poor. Now I'm all for, you know, kind of welfare reform, but in stages, not a blanket, you know, let's attack the poor, because you know, some of these people are not able to work. I mean, recently there was that big press thing about a soldier returning from Afghanistan without his legs and 1 arm, and they still deemed him fit enough to work. What could that poor boy do with 1 arm, I asked myself, and earn a living? I mean, this Atos company that does the disability assessments, all they're interested in doing is getting people off DLA and off the benefits. But at what cost? People are actually dying now at the moment because of this approach. So once again, I'll ask you to think about your vote the next time you vote, and you know, just be mindful that while it doesn't affect you at the moment, they've still got 2 years to go, and you know, it could affect you then. Okay, be safe and be happy.